Hey, what's up guys? My name is Mike, but most of you will probably know of me as Onslaught because that's my Xbox Live gamer tag. Now, I've noticed here recently, as I'm sure a lot of you have, that the Call of Duty community here on YouTube as a whole is kind of having a hard time transitioning to and getting a good grasp on Halo Reach. And a lot of gamers that are new to the series are getting frustrated fairly easily. So, since I have a long resume of Halo experience from playing Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and now Halo Reach, I figured I could give you guys some insight as to what I see are critical components to building a strong Halo skill set. But before I get into that, I want to let you guys know I am not an amazing Halo player by any means. I may be slightly above average, but because I've been a part of this series for so long, I feel I have a really well-developed understanding, I guess you could say, for what it takes to be a solid player and what the critical elements are that make up that skill set. So I'm going to go through about 5 or so different areas that I feel are critical to developing this skill set. But before I jump into that, anybody that's new to the Halo series, I know you guys have probably seen gameplays here on YouTube from Team SWAT with tons of multi-kills, or gameplays where someone's in a vehicle racking up, kill after kill. And even though those videos may be entertaining, they are not what the Halo series is about, or really what the Halo dynasty as a whole was built on. Halo's always been a game that's kind of known for, I guess, consistent weapon accuracy, epic firefights, recharging shields, stuff like that. And I know teamwork is another critical component to being successful in Halo, but as with controlling power weapons, that's another thing that's critical. But in this video, I'm only going to focus on individual tactics. These are things to just kind of up your own personal game. So if you guys are interested in seeing a teamwork related video similar to this one, let me know. Post up in the comments and I'll see if I can put one together for you guys. Another topic that I'm not going to cover in this video are loadouts. Now, loadouts are something that are new to the Halo series. This is the first time they've been in a Halo game. These are things such as the jetpack, active camo, drop shield, the different loadouts you can pick at the beginning of the game. Now, these are honestly things that I try to avoid when I'm playing Halo Reach. I always try to pick the pro game types whenever I can, because I feel adding these loadouts really take away from what a pure gun-on-gun first-person shooter is in my mind, which is what I enjoy. But I know a lot of people enjoy the loadouts. So if you guys want to see a video covering those, it's the same with the teamwork deal. Post it in the comments, let me know, and I'll see if I can put together a video going over the loadouts. So that's about it. Let's jump into it and go over the things that I think are critical to building a strong Halo skill set. Here we go. Alright, first up, as far as individual skills go, I think to be a solid Halo player, strafing and weapon accuracy are two of the most critical components. So let's start with strafing. For those of you who don't know what strafing is, it's basically any movement that you do to kind of avoid an enemy's fire. It's typically recognized as a staggered movement from left to right, but that's not all that it is. A strafing pattern is something that can be unique to every player, and the purpose of the strafe is create movements that are unpredictable, whether it be moving left to right at varying speeds, crouching, or jumping. Basically any movement that makes your character a harder target. So the one direction that typically doesn't work for this though is moving front to back, because it's a slower movement and only slightly changes your position in relationship to the opposing player. So find a series of movements that you're comfortable with. Make sure you can still be accurate with your weapon though as you're doing your strafe, because probably 9 times out of 10 you'll need to be firing your weapon while you're strafing. Next up is aiming and accuracy. Now, I'm just going to talk about this in relationship to the DMR, because the DMR is the primary weapon that's being pushed, so to say, in Halo Reach, and it's honestly the most popular weapon at the moment. Now, the Halo series, I'm going to give you guys a quick little history lesson if you don't mind. The Halo series has been built on a single fire or burst fire primary weapon since Halo 1. In Halo 1 you had the single shot pistol, which pretty much has the range of today's DMR, and it was only a 3-shot kill. In Halo 2 and Halo 3 you had the BR, which is once again similar to Halo Reach's DMR minus the reticle bloom. Now, if you don't know what reticle bloom is, the simple answer is as you fire your DMR, you'll notice that the reticle expands and contracts, and that process of expanding and contracting is reticle bloom. Now, even though reticle bloom is kind of the greatest change that's been brought to the Halo series in the Halo Reach game, it really doesn't take away from the essence of what a Halo shooter is. You still want to typically work your shots from the midsection or torso area of the body towards the head. Now, as your accuracy gets better, you'll start aiming for the head earlier in your shot sequence, I guess. Maybe your first shot will be at the body and then the rest of the shots will be at the head. But that's once you've gotten really good, you know, with your control and everything. But once an opponent's shields are down, aim for the head, and that's it. That's the kill. So as far as reticle bloom goes, a lot of people have suggested slowing down all of the shots with the DMR, you know, waiting each time for the reticle to contract before firing it again, I guess. And that's a solid tip, but something I've been doing recently and been finding some success with it is I fire my first 3 shots as quick as I can directly at the torso, though, right at the center mass of the body, you know. So you have to be accurate and make sure those 3 shots all connect. After those 3 shots, I slow down my rate of fire and aim solely for the head. Now, what this does is a lot of times it will catch your opponent off guard because they're expecting, you know, with the DMR, they're expecting a slow kind of steady shot, and if you catch them with that initial burst of fire, it's going to kind of catch them off guard. And if those initial 3 shots at the torso all hit, that's going to put you, you know, a step up, I guess, in the gun-on-gun battle. Now, talking about gun-on-gun battles, that's a situation that really only occurs, I guess, about 50% of the time, maybe. I'm totally just grabbing that number out of the air. I haven't done any research or anything. We'll just use 50% of the time it'll be gun-on-gun. Now, the other 50% of the time, it'll probably involve teammates or grenades. Now, grenades are the next topic for building your Halo skill set. Now, before I get to that, though, another thing to work on your accuracy and aim is just jumping custom games with your friends. You know, everybody has a DMR, and that's all you do. DMRs. That's it. No grenades, no other weapons, regular shields and everything. Just that's it. Practice makes perfect, you know. All right, let's move on. So grenades are another critical component to a strong Halo skill set, and I think they should always be used. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but if I ever die and I still have grenades that I could have used, I feel like I could have done more, so to say, I guess. You know, I could have gotten that last nade off, maybe weakened a player that someone else on my team could have potentially picked up. So I always try to use my nades whenever I can. Now, plasma nades, or sticky nades as they're referred to, are simple. You know, they pretty much stick to whatever they hit. But frag nades are the more popular grenade, and they're a little more tricky to use. I really don't think you should look at the frag grenade as a weapon whose primary purpose is to get kills, and I think that's what a lot of newcomers to the series are having trouble adapting to. Okay, frag nades should be looked at as an assist tool where they're really going to assist your primary weapon in getting the kill. So what you want to do is always throw nades where you think the opposing player will be and not necessarily where they are, and use the surroundings to really place the grenades as often as possible, such as, you know, like bouncing them off walls, maybe the floor, etc. And as a side note, a grenade will not blow up until after it's made contact with something, so keep that in mind. We're going for those long distance throws. Next up is knowing the maps, which covers a lot. Now, it's going to cover everything from knowing where and when weapons and grenade spawns are, to recognizing popular travel routes, even understanding the best positions on a map that will give you advantages during a firefight. So, learning where and when items spawn on a map is probably the easiest thing to do in this category. You know, all you have to do is set up a custom game, jump into Forge, and just move around the map. You know, familiarize yourself with where all the goodies are. And it may take a little time to do this, but in reality, the effort that you're putting into it is actually pretty minimal. So I definitely think you should try that. Next up, as far as learning the maps, is learn the popular travel routes and positions throughout the map. You know, now this really can't be done by going into a private game by yourself and just running around. So what you need to do is just jump into matchmaking and play the game. Make sure, though, as you're playing, take kind of mental notes on where you find yourself and others really spending a lot of time during the games, and this will really help with future nade placements and could potentially give you an edge up in future gun-on-gun battles. And the last topic as far as knowing maps is find the best positions on the maps that will really give you an advantage in battles. So typically these positions will be the highest points on the map, and they'll have a sufficient amount of cover and exit routes, but aside from those locations, just pay attention to openings and jumps and sight lines and advantageous corners maybe, and just be unpredictable. You know, like your strafing pattern is supposed to kind of be unpredictable, so should your use of the map. You don't always want to do the easiest move because it's more than likely going to be the most predictable. So that's basically it for knowing your maps. And one other note, YouTube is your friend, and this really goes for all the topics that I'm going over in this video. You know, if you search for it on YouTube, 9 times out of 10 you're going to find a video that's going to talk about it at some point. So definitely search around YouTube. There's tons of information out there as you're trying to learn and get familiar with these different things. And last but definitely not least is be clutch. Now, I know you're probably saying, come on, Mike, really? Is that a legitimate element to building a solid Halo skill set? Just give me a second and hear me out. You only get better with practice and repetition, right? And eventually you'll reach a point where you feel like there's really no room for improvement. This is where trying to be clutch comes in, and you push yourself to do things that you typically don't do, and it really begins to further develop your skills. Not only is this going to help with your physical skills, but also your mental skills as far as your decision making goes, and not to mention your confidence is going to grow, which is going to be huge, and that's going to make you just more of a force to be reckoned with. So go for that cheeky no scope where there's no time to zoom, or go for that no shield double kill from time to time, and you're going to find yourself kind of becoming more consistent with coming out on top during these situations. But also remember that being clutch really isn't about just getting ridiculous kills, it's also avoiding those inevitable deaths. So say you're in a location where you have no shields and two guys on the opposing team are honed in on your position, have that patience or confidence and try to make an identifiable call out maybe and wait for a teammate's assistance. Or maybe you go the other route, maybe you take like a crazy jump or something that no one would have thought you were going to try, and it gets you out of a spot where a well-placed nade would have surely killed you. I guess in short, just try to be clutch from time to time and push yourself. Alright guys, so that's it. I hope you learned a little bit about what I consider critical components of a strong Halo skill set. If you have any questions or comments, maybe you even have tips or other general tactics, feel free to post them up in the comments below. That'd be awesome. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, do whatever it is you guys do. This was How to Halo Reach, a guide to become a Halo player. My name is Mike, and I'll catch up with you guys later and see you on Xbox Live. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to. Also, follow me on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. I'll post up on there from time to time whenever I'm looking for extra players.